Welcome to This Is My Story, a podcast dedicated to sharing your story and how God has helped you take next steps in your journey of faith. I'm your host, Austin Carrick, and let's dive into today's story. Thank you for joining us today as we dive into today's story. Today we are here with Sasha. Sasha, tell us a little bit about yourself, Sasha.
Oh, I am a mom. I'm a part-time nurse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. How long have you been a part-time nurse for?
Oh my goodness. So I have been in nursing since I was 18.
18.
So 20 years.
Wow. So right out of high school. Did you go straight to nursing school or?
So I went to a specialized high school. They had a practical nursing program. So when I graduated, I just had to sit my boards. And then I went to college.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Wow. So tell us about your journey at Victory Church. Which location do you attend? And how long have you been attending at Victory Church?
Oh my goodness. So my journey with Victory started in 2011. I had some friends, the Newswangers, who were like, you have to come check out this church. So I would drive from Brooklyn, New York. And when I would come visit Sam, who is from Lancaster, we would attend service here.
Wow.
Yeah. But I attend the Ephrata tribe. Love it.
So in 2011, so where was Victory Church at that time?
So in 2011, Victory Church, we would just attend the Greenfield campus.
Were they at the school still? Were they
they were still here.
at this building here at the Greenfield location? Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
So, yeah.
What an adventure from New York down to
Yeah.
Lancaster for church, for Victory Church. That's incredible. So what kind of teams, where do you love serving? What is your passion right now?
So my passion, I serve in the children's ministry.
Okay.
You could often find me there at the nursery, cuddling babies and praying over them. And I just started singing melody with the worship team. So
that's
so much
incredible.
fun as well.
Wow. And if you attend Victory Church or you follow us online for our services, you may even see Sasha's face from time to time on our video announcements. Sasha, you do such an incredible job.
Thank
you for serving on that team as well. You are such a wonderful piece of this puzzle that we have at Victory Church and so many different parts that you play. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
So today we want to hear a little bit about your story. So this podcast is This Is My Story.
Yes.
So tell us, what has God done in your life? So I know that you have such an incredible testimony, and we're just excited to hear some of that today and just what the Lord's been doing in your life since then as well. So go ahead and start just unpacking. Start us at the beginning of where this journey begins.
Oh, my word. My journey begins year 2014. I became a mom, but I was also diagnosed with cancer.
Wow.
And in the midst of all of that, I remember thinking this is going to be such an epic year. Little did I know what the Lord had planned for my life at that time. Through many months of testing, we found out the subtype of cancer that I had, and then we had to seek and find treatment. Yeah.
Wow. So you became a mom, and then what was that time period like when you had found out about the cancer?
I just remember caring for this newborn and thinking to myself, something isn't right. I know I should feel tired, but this just feels a little bit more. So I would go to my PCP. They would say, you take these pills, you do this, but nothing would seem to work. So I felt very sick a lot of the time. And I remember finally talking to my mom, and she's like, yeah, you need labs and a chest x-ray. It's not sounding very good.
Yeah.
So I remember my one visit, I got antibiotics and was told to wait 30 days before I did lab work and got this chest x-ray. Called my mom and she's like, no, you go get those done now.
Yeah.
And it all spiraled from there. Yeah.
I know nursing, so you had a medical background already at that point. Does your mom have a medical background?
Yeah, so my mom has been a pediatric nurse. My mom is 63, so she's been in the nursing field for 38 years, I would say.
Wow.
Give or take. And when I found the lymph node, we knew that wasn't a good sign.
Yeah.
So she was just like, yeah, this is just not sounding very well.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So as somebody who was a practicing nurse, What kind of journey is that like when you're somebody who's in that medical field and you are experiencing something, you're like, I don't know if this is right. Do you, as somebody, I am not a medical professional. I am not a medical amateur. I'm not a medical rookie. I am one of those people that if I have a little bump, I'm like, WebMD, oh no,
I know.
oh no.
Do not Google. Do not Google.
Yes. I know probably a lot of listeners are in that same spot as well. So as somebody who has a medical background, like what is that experience like? Do you begin to self-diagnose yourself if there's something going on?
It's like, okay, I know an enlarged lymph node could mean an infection, but I had been feeling sick for so long that I knew it wasn't a good sign. And then when I went to the doctor, I was hopeful because they're like, oh, postnasal drip. But I'm like, yeah, but I have this chest pain. Like it's, I get medicine for one thing, but then I have another symptom that I develop and it's not looking good. Then I have this chronic cough and it's like, it's not getting better. Things are beginning to get worse.
Yeah.
So what are my next steps?
Yep.
So
you started some treatments. Some things sound like they may have been working or may not have been working. What was going through your mind at that time? So you have this newborn. You're not quite sure what's going on.
So finally, after we do all this testing and I get a phone call from my PCP and she's like, hey, listen, can you come in? And I'm like, well, let me see if I can get a hold of Sam. So Sam could stay home with the infant and then I could go in because I don't want to expose him to any germs that are in the office. So I go and I sit down with her and she's like, yeah, it's not looking good. It's looking like cancer, but we're not sure, what it is. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the end of November. Like, am I going to be here for Christmas? Like, what does New Year look like? Like, this is going to be his first Christmas. Like, what? So those thoughts started entering my mind.
Yeah. At this point in time, have you already trusted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So at that point, what were some things that people may be speaking over you, or where were some like biblical truths that you were searching for in that time of I'm very uncertain of what's going on in my body?
Yeah.
Where were you able to find hope?
Oh my goodness. I'm so thankful for my mother-in-law. Her church actually set up a box and there were scriptures in there that each of the ladies wrote. So every day I would pull out one to give myself encouragement.
Yeah.
And I remember my first one was Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. And I really clung to that. I started to write that every day before treatment. There were times where I would feel down and I would repeat that verse. I remember my mother-in-law and my mom saying to me, no, you're not going to cry. We're going to speak life over this. We're going to pray over you. So I'm very thankful for that. Yeah.
So this time frame you're talking about is November. What was that Christmas then like for you and your family?
Oh my goodness. So Sam made sure everything on my Christmas list, anything material that I asked for, I got. And I wanted none of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm now sick, so material possessions at that point didn't matter. My focus was on the family, if I'm going to be able to be here with them. So that Christmas, I was thankful because I was around. The Christmas Eve, I believe it was, I got a phone call from my oncologist, Dr. Fox at Paoli, because they removed a lymph node. They had to send it in for testing. And he called and he's like, listen, I think you have Hodgkin's. And I said, okay. I was like, I know the prognosis with that. So I was fine. And then shortly after, a couple days after New Year's, I got another phone call and he's like, hey, listen, it's not looking, all the slides are not matching up. And because I have a medical background, I'm like, okay, so I know that when you put your specimen under a microscope, certain things, if it doesn't look right, then something's off, right? And then we find out about NIH. They sent my specimen there. And
what is NIH? Where is that?
So that's the National Institutes of Health. They do like all the studies, and they have a facility in Bethesda, Maryland.
Okay.
So we send my slides out there, and they're like, you have something called gray zone mediastinal lymphoma.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and say that 2 times fast. Greystone mediastinal lymphoma. Greenstein. Say it again for me.
So gray zone mediastinal lymphoma.
Wow.
So yeah.
So what is that then? What is that
So
diagnosis?
that presents as Hodgkin's lymphoma and large B-cell lymphocyte lymphoma. I call that the 2-for-1 special.
Okay.
I do not recommend it.
Yeah. Do not order it.
Do not order it. Yeah. So we got.
So is that a
news.
kind of cancer then?
That is a kind of cancer.
Okay.
Yeah. A type of lymphoma.
How is that one that's fast, that moves rapidly, or is that okay?
So that is fast acting, fast growing. By the time we found it, it had moved to parts of my heart and my lung.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a mess.
So it was moving quick.
It was moving quick, but God was good.
Yeah.
He provided, because an incorrect diagnosis would lead to incorrect treatment, and you don't want that.
Yeah.
So from there, when we finally knew what it was, I had, I think, a couple options. I could be treated by the oncologist in Paoli who'd never treated it before, and he would have to read their plan.
So this is rare, you're saying? This is a rare diagnosis.
Or he said I could go to Texas to MD Anderson Cancer Center, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to go there because I want to be with my family. I want to be with Xander.
And how old is your son at this point?
So at this point, he is 9 months old.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So we do that, and then they go, oh, well, there's a clinical trial at NIH. Do you want to go check it out? And I was like, And my mom said to me, she's like, listen, call back Dr. Fox, get the information, let's go. Because at that point, I am now, it's so much information. I'm feeling slightly overwhelmed. We don't really know what this is. I don't know the prognosis. And that's something I Googled, don't Google, because I couldn't find anybody with that diagnosis. I get to NIH, and I am nervous. I am a ball of emotions. We walk in to admissions, and I'm thinking to myself, Lord, just show me the way. And the admissions director says, hey, can I just pray with you guys?
Wow. I love when God does that.
And I was like, oh my word, this is like God giving me a hug.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, I got you. It's going to be okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So you go there, you have this experience. What, now you're beginning to have some peace. God's giving you a sign in this moment then. What does your treatment then look like in this period?
So in this period, I get there, they're talking to me. I'm like, but wait, I can't start any treatment now because we made arrangements for me to have my eggs retrieved so we could have kids in the future. So I'm like, okay. And they're like, no, you can't do any of that. And I'm like, well, why? And they're like, this is very fast acting. You need to start treatment today, but you don't have a port, so we'll have to get you a PICC line. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my word, we had all these plans. Sam wasn't there with me, so I had to call him and say, hey, listen, I need you to call, the fertility clinic and let them know we can't move forward. I have to start treatment today. Oh, and by the way, are you okay if we have to adopt? Is that? And he's like, listen, absolutely. Start treatment. I'll see you in a couple days. Yeah. Because he was at work.
For people who have been given that news from a doctor of, hey, you're done. There's no more children. You're not going to be able to. This is the end of that journey for you. For that person who has that news, what's something that you would say to encourage that person?
Oh my word. God has the final say.
Yeah.
He has the final say.
Yeah.
And he is the way maker. So.
Yep. Obviously, I do know the rest of this story, and I know the listeners are probably very on their edge of their seat to hear where this is going. So, so you get the news that you're not going to be able to preserve your eggs. You're not going to be able to then have any more biological children, is what they're telling you there. So you begin treatments.
Yes.
What were your treatments like?
So it was a clinical trial, and every round of chemo, they would raise it a little bit higher because it's a test. They want to, they want to make sure that it's going to kill the cancer.
Yeah.
And it's a trial, so it's by trial and error. So I did 6 rounds of chemo. The first round, I felt really good. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, I feel so good. The cough went away. The chest pain that I had for all those months, like, it went away. Yeah. And I was like, wow, I feel really good. And I remember my mom saying to me, you know, the side effects are cumulative. So you feel good now, but your second round, you're going to feel a little worse.
Yeah.
And she was right. The second round, I had some side effects, but I didn't feel as good as I felt the first round. And by the third round, I wanted no more. I wanted no more. So my mom was like, no, we're going to do this. God provided this trial for you. We're going to complete it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fine. Okay.
That's incredible to have that person in your life that speaks into you. And I pray and hope that everybody listening has somebody like that in their life, that just champions you and pushes you on and continues to just give you that sound advice when chaos is all around you. And if you don't have that in your life, I would say find somebody like that. At Victory, we have groups, and like that's been such an incredible spot for me in times of uncertainty and times where I wasn't sure what was going on. I was able to have those voices of reason around me. So I would encourage that to our listeners. If you attend Victory Church or you're at a church that has groups, get involved, because that will give you that voice of reason in your life. Surrounding yourself with godly people who just want to push you and continue that journey with you. If you're in a struggle, or if you're on the mountaintop, you can be that person for somebody else. So I really, really encourage that. Get into a group, wherever you're at, it'll change your life. So you have your mom who's pushing you forward in this really hard time.
Yes.
What's the next step then out of that?
So the next step, I remember thinking to myself, okay, well, we're taking care of me, but who's taking care of the infant? So my mother-in-law stepped up. She left work, was able to pray and love over Xander.
Yeah.
So that way I could focus on treatment and healing.
Wow. So that's a lot. Having a newborn, going through such a trial where you're like, I don't know
what the future holds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You're told you can't have any more kids. So we'll move the story up a little bit. So you're getting treatment. I know how the story ends.
Yes.
Where is that light? Where does that light begin? Right now you're in a pretty dark place where you've, again, been told no more children. You are in these later rounds of this testing and you're just beat down. You're saying, I don't want any more.
Yes.
When does that turning point start to begin for you?
I remember my last round of chemo, getting last round of chemo, I get a phone call from Hershey Medical Center saying that they had a nursing position that they wanted me to fill. And my mind went, oh yeah, because they have great insurance. So I need good insurance, because if you've been through cancer or any medical anything, you know how expensive that gets. So I had an interview. I got the job. But still, I didn't have any, you're in remission, I was in a watch and wait period, basically. And I remember my mom being very tearful at that point because she wanted an answer.
Yeah.
And there was none. God said to wait, so we waited. 3 months after, we went back in July. So I finished chemo in May, had my scans, and they said, hey, listen, we think it worked. And I'm thinking to myself, praise God.
Yeah.
So we begin to get our lives back together. And then I go back every 3 months for a third scan. Every 3 months for another scan. And that scan, they were very concerned. They were, I'm sorry it's taking so long. We have to talk to this specialist. And I'm thinking to myself, okay. So they come back and they're like, you have a mass in your uterus. Like, we need to rush you to OB. So Sam is there with Xander, who's now 1.5 years. Get rushed to OB. They do an ultrasound. Sam's looking at me. I'm looking at Sam. And I'm looking at the monitor. And I'm like, that is not a mass. I see a little flicker. That's a heartbeat.
Wow.
that's a heartbeat. Oh, no cancer. There's a baby.
There's a baby.
There's
wow. A baby. And how old is that baby today?
My baby is 6.
6 years old.
6 years old.
Wow.
My Zoe Madison. Her name means life, battle, mighty.
That's incredible.
And she is 6 and in first grade. Today's her first day of school.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah.
And like you said, that Jeremiah 29:11 passage, like
Yes.
God knew the plan he had
He
for your
did.
life. And you didn't know the journey it was going to take to get there. You didn't
No.
know the exile that you were going to be in that
No.
period of time. But he always brings us through. If we
always does.
stay consistent and we continue to follow him, he will bring you through. That is such an incredible story. So Sasha, let's fast forward a little bit. There you were then in remission at that point.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
you were pregnant
Yes.
with not a tumor, a baby.
Yes.
And what has that been like? So after that time period, what has God been doing in your life?
My goodness, can I tell you? Not only is he the way maker and
Yeah.
the miracle worker and the promise keeper, he has provided for us. He has got us through some other trials that we've been experiencing, specifically with my son, who has epilepsy, but he has been doing so well on his meds. I just see, God's hand in every step I take and every move I make. And I'm in awe and extremely thankful for that.
So where you are now, what is one encouragement, one piece you would give to somebody who might be walking through a season of life like that right now, where they're saying, I'm walking through this big trial. I don't know how many days, months, years I have left. Where do I turn? What do I do? What's one piece of encouragement you would give to that person?
I would say cast all your cares on the Lord. Trust in him. Rely on him. As you mentioned, groups. There were people who just prayed over me in my darkest and loneliest moments. When I felt alone, they would uplift me in prayer. That box of scriptures that I had just fueled me every day with encouragement.
Yeah.
So dive deep into the Bible.
Get into
dive
the Word,
deep
yeah.
into his Word.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Well, Sasha, it has been such a blast just getting to chat with you, getting to know you a little better. Thank you for joining us on our very first This Is My Story podcast. So thank you for being brave enough. I know I was brave enough to get here today. We are so excited about this. And thank you for all that you do for Victory Church, for your community, and just what a miracle your life is and your family is, and the testimony that you're able to just share about the goodness of God and what he's done in your life. So thank you for that. We appreciate you. We love you so much. And that is it for today's podcast. You can check out every Monday. We'll be releasing a new This Is My Story podcast through Victory Church. We love you guys. Have a blessed week.
Have a good one.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of This Is My Story. Hearing these incredible accounts of God's work in our lives reminds us of the enduring power of faith. If you've been moved by these stories, don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform and on YouTube. And don't forget to share the inspiration with others who might need it. This Is My Story is recorded at Victory Church in the heart of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. You can learn more about This Is My Story and Victory Church in the show notes. Thank you for listening and be blessed.